Evolution 2024. I had high expectations for this event and it did not disappoint. I've been to EVO before, but by far this was the largest EVO, the largest fighting game event I've ever been to, and there was just so much to take in, especially as a Tekken fan. If you've been around my streams and videos recently, then you know that one of my goals in entering a tournament is to win a single match, because for whatever reason I seem to fumble when it comes to these tournament settings. But it finally happened. My first match was actually a Yoshimitsu mirror match, and I gotta tell you, I had a lot of nerves going into it. I was on two-player side and I was feeling kind of rusty, so I went into it actually thinking that I was most likely going to lose this match. But I gave it my best anyway, and man, I'm glad I did because it was a fight. This Yoshi player was so much better in his combos, his optimization, his setups than I was, but at the same time I was able to fight back by not falling for some of the trickier stuff and punished almost every time he overextended himself. It was a clash of two very different styles and it came down to the very last round and I was able to pull it out. So that's my first tournament win ever, and the only downside is that I just did not have this recorded. My friend was actually stuck in line getting something for me and he was not able to get back in time to see my first two matches, so I don't have that anywhere and that's really too bad. But yeah, my first match was a win against Yoshi, my second match was a loss against a Leo, again a close one. My third was against a Reina player, and my fourth was against a Jin player, and I think I have those two, I'll have them shown here. So that's my tournament run. I went 2-2 and I'm just happy to finally break that curse. After that was going around the venue and trying out a bunch of different games and arcades. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, TOXKO, and yeah, I'm terrible at both those games. Trying out Lydia. Lydia's pretty cool. I never really played Lydia before, but you know, I always liked the kind of grounded martial arts style, so maybe I'll try picking her up this time around. What I will not be picking up, however, are the new Mishima ones. So yeah, the Tekken team had an announcement there. We had no idea what was going on, and they unveiled the new Tekken shoes that apparently are going to be both in-game and a real limited edition sneaker line, which I think was like $250. The people that were at the venue had first exclusive access. What was interesting to me was seeing the juxtaposition of the people really hyped in the venue to see the new shoe and the unveiling and talking about the, all the process of going for it. And then seeing the reaction online about people hating it, how boring the presentation was, how money hungry, grabbing, and terrible organization is for collaborating with Nike. Myself, I thought the announcement was pretty cool. It was clear that this guy that they brought from Nike was not some media spokesperson, but rather the actual designer, or one of the actual designers in charge of creating the design for the shoe, and it really did have a passion, or seemed to have a passion for treating the characters with respect, which is what I appreciate. With Tekken as one of my passions, I can't imagine it intersecting with my career or other passions like it did for this guy, so it was just really endearing to see. Will I be buying the shoe or the cosmetic item? Probably not. But when it comes to the monetization of Tekken 8 specifically, with the shops and battle passes and DLC, none of those things, none of the collaborations really bother me. I think the worst monetization thing in Tekken is still needing to buy DLC characters, especially without the ability to lab them in depth. In a matchup dependent game like Tekken, you're really put at a disadvantage by not being able to know what the character does. Everything else in my opinion is pretty superfluous. If I want it, I buy it. If I don't, then I won't. That's just how I feel about those things, but everyone is entitled to support who they want to support based off whatever is valuable to them. Okay, soapbox over. Yeah, I had a really good time. I spent a lot more time doing friendlies and meeting up with people than I did watching a lot of the matches, but I did watch the top 6 in the arena on the last day. And I should say arena in quotation marks because it was really more of a partitioned section of the venue hall in the Las Vegas Convention Center rather than the Mandalay arena than from previous years. Unfortunately, they were not able to secure that for whatever reason, but it was especially felt because this was the largest EVO event in history. What ended up happening was that there was not enough room for all the spectators for all of the games. So there were people there for Grand Blue, then there was Guilty Gear, which that's when I came in, and then by the time Tekken came around, there was a long line around the venue for people wanting to watch Tekken that couldn't get in. Before Street Fighter started, my buddy and I relinquished our seats so that those fans can come in, but I don't really blame anybody that didn't. But it would suck to travel to EVO, travel to Las Vegas, and not be able to be in the arena to watch your favorite game. And there was no advance notice that, hey, this is going to be a first come first serve, secure your seats early. There was nothing like that, so we kind of just heard through word of mouth that they were shutting off access and people decided to lock in. So that would be my biggest criticism of the event in general, just how they handled the arena and seating. But at least that didn't stop the hype and excitement for matches. Well, at least as much excitement as you can get from half of top 6 being Dragunov, but awesome matches regardless. I was rooting for Nobi and Kisuke, and unfortunately they didn't really make it too far. Actually, let me correct myself. They made it pretty damn far. It was over 4,000 participants. They made it pretty damn far. But ultimately, it was Arslan Ash that comes away with the victory again, which doesn't really come as a surprise to many people, but man, when you just see his Nina at play, it's just ridiculous. I cannot imagine playing at a level and playing against Arslan Ash's Tekken 8 Nina. Completely oppressive. The big surprise of the evening, however, was of course the reveal of Heihachi Mishima. I don't really play Heihachi, so of course I'm just like, thank God it's not Marduk. I think it makes a lot of sense for Heihachi to come back in the game, especially how it's the 30th anniversary of the series, so I felt like it wouldn't be right without having Heihachi there. But at the same time, it does kind of undermine the story or the ending of Tekken 7, so let me know what you think. You know, is it good that Heihachi's back in the game? Does that kind of cheapen the story? Does it make his climactic death in the previous game meaningless? I'm a big advocate for good storytelling. Doesn't matter if it's an RPG or a fighting game. I want to have a good story and have a link to these characters. But for fighting games especially, where you're going to be spending so much time with individual characters, you might even be only playing one character, I feel that the character roster is the most important factor, and the story should follow the roster rather than the roster being constricted by the story. I will say I am intrigued by what they're showing in the trailer for Heihachi, because every other time he's come back from the dead, it's kind of like, hey, I lived, and he kind of just goes about business as usual. But now there seems to be a whole mystery element about, you know, how he got brought back to life. It seems to be going around the theme of resurrection, and it raises a lot of questions. You know, like, who are these people? How do they bring back Heihachi? What does this have to do with Lydia and Reinhardt? So I think if there's any way to bring him back gracefully, this is the right way to go. I'm looking forward to see what's included with the story expansion. That's another new thing for Tekken. You know, they never really had a story expansion DLC, so yeah, I'm actually very curious about where they're going to be going with it. That wraps up my thoughts on the first ever Tekken 8 EVO tournament. Nike, Lydia, Heihachi. I'd say a pretty good time for Tekken fans. I know Guilty Gear got their 3v3. I haven't forgotten. We still need that for Tekken. We need some team battle. But yeah, very happy with the announcements, and that's about it. Let me know your thoughts and talk to you soon.